What's going on, everybody? So in today's episode, we have an update on a late 90s slasher franchise with the upcoming sequel, some casting news, but I think we would have all expected this casting information. Will we see Frank Grillo return back to the Purge franchise? And with the upcoming release of the Nosferatu film on Christmas Day, we now have some more behind the scenes information on how and what went into making this film. The information just keeps coming, so let's get into it. So I think we all expected to see this. I'm sure if you remember the first two films, especially the first film, you would have known Sarah Michelle Gellar Teases I Know What You Did Last Summer sequel with photo from film set. So let's get into these details. Sarah Michelle Gellar is teasing the I Know What You Did Last Summer sequel in filming. The Scream 2 and Buffy alum shared a photo from the set of the slasher film, which will be directed by her close friend Jennifer Caden Robinson. Scooby-Doo 3 coming soon. Gellar jokingly captioned her Instagram post, which features a chair with the I Know What You Did Last Summer logo, which we will be able to see down here further below. So, Gellar's husband, Freddie Prinze Jr., is set to reprise his role in the 1997 film. However, Gellar recently said in an interview she would not be returning to play beauty queen Helen Shivers. Quote, "I am dead," Gellar told People about the fate her character faced in the film. So here's the pose from her Instagram showing the chair, director's chair, a chair with the I Know What You Did Last Summer. Here's the post of the quote from her Scooby-Doo 3 coming soon. Due to her closeness with the director and Prinze Jr., Gellar said she would be part of the sequel in an unofficial capacity. Quote, "My best friend is directing it, so we joke that I have an unofficial job, which is I am continuity," Gellar told the publication. "So I'm always the one telling her, well, that wouldn't happen, or that would happen, that wouldn't happen with those characters, so I do have kind of an unofficial job title." Key here, though, is Jennifer Love Hewitt is also in talks to reprise her role. The sequel's cast includes, and then we go on to the casting here. We do have a date. The I Know What You Did Last Summer sequel will be released in theaters on July 18th, 2025. So we have this is just, again, as I've mentioned in previous episodes, another 2025 horror film that we can now add to the list that we're going to be getting. Now, just based on what they're calling it, I Know What You Did Last Summer. Again, many of you know that was the name of the original film from the late 1997. It feels like they're following a bit of what Scream has been doing. So you had the Scream films. I mean, obviously the first one was called Scream, and then when they were in the reboot, so to speak, process, or updating the franchise, with that first film was called Scream. So it kind of feels like they're following the same path that Scream was doing. Now, I'm sure we've all seen the first film. I enjoy the first film. I even enjoyed the second film, I Still Know What You Did Last Summer, which came a little over a year later in 1998. I think it was around November '98. The second film came out, and then we had a somewhat of a hiatus because the second film didn't do nearly as well. Did end on a huge cliffhanger, but we didn't get another film in this franchise until around summertime 2006, I believe it was. And then, if I remember the name of that title, the name of that film was called I'll Always Know What You Did Last Summer. Didn't have any of the returning cast coming to it, and now we have a fourth film coming. Outside of the films, though, if you recall, we did get one season. Very short. It was only 8 episodes in late 2021. It was in those TV series on I Know What You Did Last Summer on Amazon Prime, which again wasn't that great. Obviously, I didn't make it past season 1, and it was canceled. So we'll see where this one goes. I mean, maybe they're trying to hopefully find the same magic that Scream found and get a new following of fans, along with keeping the old fans still involved in the franchise. I think getting Jennifer back into the film though will definitely help that, as it did for Scream with Neve Campbell, and is doing so again with the Scream 7 coming up as far as bringing her back into the fold. So I'll be interested to see a trailer on this one just to see how big of a role Jennifer and Freddy are going to play in this, unless they're just side characters, supporting characters that are only going to be making cameo appearance. So hopefully that's not the case, and maybe those stories will end in this one and then kind of kick off the next set of characters for any future films. So hopefully we'll find out soon, especially with a July 18th, 2025 release date. All right, going into our next story, the Purge 6 return. Chances get uncertain response from franchise star despite the script focusing on their character. This one's going to be a bit tricky because we know, so let's get into the details first and I'll give my thoughts. So Frank Grillo has given an uncertain update on his potential return to his hit action horror franchise in the upcoming Purge, the Purge 6. Grillo has enjoyed a diverse and varied career as an actor and first joined the Purge franchise in 2014, starring as Sergeant Leo Barnes in the sequel movie The Purge Anarchy, the second installment in the franchise. He reprised his role in the third movie, The Purge Election Year, in 2016, but his character was absent from the fourth and fifth films in the franchise, The First Purge and The Forever Purge. In an interview with Screen Rant to promote his upcoming action horror thriller movie Werewolves, Grillo was asked about his potential return for The Purge 6 and reveals he is uncertain about returning, despite previously indicating that the script would focus on his character. So let's get into that quote. I had heard they are working on it. I don't know if I'll be in it. I don't know. I know they've had some conversations. We'll see what happens. I might not be available. I might be doing Werewolves 2 and 3. So again, I will put the link for this article in the description below, but the article goes on to talk about the fact he's working on Werewolves and that there's hope this new film Werewolves kicks off a franchise. And if it does, that would impact Grillo's return into the upcoming sixth installment of The Purge. Obviously, he won't be able to work, do both films at the same time. It'd be great if he could. Now, it's interesting though that they're focusing Purge 6 on his character, as the details mentioned. He was only in. He's only been in 3 of the films, 2 of the films officially, which was, again, the 2014 sequel, The Purge Anarchy, and then the 2016 The Purge election year. Now, they have him slated for this, but again, if Werewolves turns out to be a hit and gets greenlit for a sequel soon after, we won't be seeing him in Purge 6, and they'll probably have to do something to rewrite that entire story, because I'm curious as to why they're going back to that character after having already done not just 2 more movies, The First Purge and The Forever Purge, but they also did the TV series, 2 seasons, 10 episodes each, just called The Purge, right? So you would think on some level they might not want to put all their eggs in a basket, so to speak, focusing solely on this character for an entire film, that a character that hasn't been touched in almost 10 years. And again, we don't even know when this film would come out. And the last one he was in was 2016, so it could be a 10-year gap between the time this character shows back up. So, and I know he's recently been involved in the new DCU being ran by James Gunn and Peter Safran, so he might be pretty busy. And they might want to start planning now versus later, that he may not be available for a Purge 6. So they might want to start retooling that script. I don't want to see them recast him. Don't recast him. Either retool the script, have it focus on a different character or a different storyline altogether. Just don't recast it. I think that's just lazy. So, all right, going into our last topic for this episode, Nosferatu's live rat usage clarified by director, and it's way more than the original number. So we've been covering this film, I think for well over a month now. Been trying to bring you all the latest when it comes up, anything behind the scenes, whether that's what we're going to cover today, the recent popcorn bucket that's getting released with this film. Character post, anything to go with this film, we're trying to make sure we bring it to you as soon as we know about it. We are looking forward to this film dropping on Christmas Day, and can't wait to see it. But let's get into these details. Nosferatu director Robert Eggers clarifies the real number of rodents used during production, correcting that it was way more than what was initially revealed. The upcoming 2024 horror remake of F.W. Murnau's 1922 German expressionist horror feature tells the story of vampire hunting professor Albin Albert Hart von Frank as he seeks to help young couple Thomas and Ellen. So let's just get right to the details of this. Eggers speaks to Deadline about this shocking number of rats in the castle, revealing, quote, there were 5,000 real rats, and they were well trained. The director further explains that the rats in the foreground of the film are real, but when they thin out into the background, they become CGI rats, though Eggers does recall it wasn't an entirely pleasant experience to film. So his quote is, there are 5,000 real rats. So basically, if there's rats in the foreground, they're real. And then they thin out and become CG rats in the background, and they were well trained. I didn't know that rats are incontinent, so the smell is insane. Yeah, that's crazy. So it just goes on to talk a little bit more about the film, and then the author's take on the film. So, we've covered all this already. I'll put the link of this article in the description below if you want to read those details again. But really, we wanted to cover off on this fact here because we've talked about the use of CG, practical effects, all that type of stuff on previous episodes. So the fact that they use 5,000 real rats, whatever scene that we're going to see in the film, hopefully you put that much effort into it, it makes the final cut of the film. So but still, 5,000 rats. I'm not even sure how you would train 5,000 rats, especially if they're all in that large group together. But we'll see when we get to see that scene in the film. Now, I can't even imagine the smell of having 5,000 rats on set and trying to film that. I can only imagine what that experience would be like. All that to say is I will never know what that experience is like because I don't think I'd be putting myself in that situation. But again, glad to see though he went with real rats instead of just saying let's just CGI the entire scene. I think that just adds a little bit more to the film itself, to any film, when you can use something real versus CGI. So that's the latest we know about Nosferatu. Again, I believe tickets are already on sale. If you plan on seeing it, I would highly recommend probably getting your tickets sooner than later, especially if it's coming on Christmas Day. A lot of people are going to be out looking for something to do towards the end of that week, and it might be hard to get decent seats. So make sure you get your tickets as soon as you can. All right, everyone, that's going to do it for today's episode. Just want to say thank you for spending just a few moments of your day with me here at Reign of Horror. It is always greatly appreciated. Please make sure you like, share, and subscribe to the channel. Drop a comment in the comment section. Let us know what you think. Are you looking forward to the upcoming 4th installment to I Know What You Did Last Summer, Purge 6? Again, do we recast? Do we redo the script? Or do we wait for the actor to become available? And would you want to be around 5,000 rats yourself on a movie set? I don't think I would. So, all right, everyone, that's going to do it. And again, as always, thank you for joining me here at Reign of Horror, and we will see you at the next one. Peace.